Okay, good afternoon again to each and everyone. For the five participants in this session, making me the sixth. Welcome to your first lesson for pre-finals. The title is the cell transport. But in that said cell transport, what focuses or what organelle is what organelle will we are going to um, prioritize the discussion or focus in our discussion is the cell membrane. And you have here the structure of the cell membrane class. It looks like an egg in a tray, but it's like a one over the other. Uh, and this structure is known as a bilayer structure. A bilayer structure made of phosphate added to the fatty acid tails of the lipids, making it a phospholipid bilayer. The circle or the egg-like shape, there is a phosphate group, and then the tail structure is a lipid, which are hydrophobic, but the phosphate is the hydrophilic, which means water-loving, and then the tail there is the hydrophobic or water-repelling. You can always consider a sample there is as an oil that cannot be mixed with water as they are both immiscible substances. So here again is another structure of the cell membrane or the plasma membrane. No? Notice the other parts there, including the violet shaped structure with the green ones and all the cytoskeletons. These are protein structure located in your plasma membrane. And these protein structures are responsible for the transport system in your plasma membrane. Much like the same as a gatekeeper of these organelles or these molecules that will get in and out of your cell cytosol or cell cytoplasm. First function of the cell membrane class is to simply separate the components of your cytosol to the interstitial cell. Cytosol or cytoplasm, interstitial cell are these are the liquid components that is located in your outside of the cell. The spelling is this one, interstitial fluid. We will discuss more of the interstitial fluid when we discuss the lymphatic system. Everything here is interconnected, class. So I hope that when we have the further discussion of biology, might be in biology too, you'll still remember the terminologies there. Interstitial fluid is a fluid outside of the cell. The fluid inside of the cell is the cytosol or the cytoplasm. Another function of the cell membrane is simply to gatekeeper the cell, which means it will regulate the flow of materials in and out of the cell through the act of through the selectively permeable membrane of the cell wall or the cell membrane. No? Cells as well, in particular, helps to maintain homeostasis or the internal balance of your cell environment. Now, class, this is the core in our discussion right now. Homeostasis, balance between the external and the internal environment. What does this homeostasis further means? So let's talk about the cell membrane and what is homeostasis is all about. So the cell membrane is responsible for maintaining the balance within the cell. Huh? What is this balance all about? Of course, the number of molecules that will get in and out, the number of pH level inside the cell and the pH level outside of the cell, the temperature inside the cell and the temperature outside the cell, together with all the other needed um, important molecules like sodium and potassium. As such, cells will undergo its life, no? The same way as the oxygen and carbon dioxide exchange. For that said, cell itself is maintained by the cell membrane. And the cell membrane is also the one responsible for the so-called cell transport. For a while, I will admit Miguel. Okay. So, in case there is imbalance class, for example lang ha, um, if there is too much salt in the inside of your cell, wherein the outside is less of salt, then comes the imbalance. If there's too much potassium inside of your cell, then the outside comes the imbalance. So as with too much water inside the cell and outside the cell comes the imbalance. So I hope you had further read your module, because everything here is in the presentation is just capsulated, and what are in the components of your module are the complete details of our discussion for today. So we have here the pH level ranges 0 to 14. 7 is the neutral. 8 to 14 is basic. So 0 to 6 is acidic. Example of acidic um, components or substances that are located in your house. One of them is vinegar. Another one is coffee. You also have milk. Huh? You also have um, the muriatic acid. Example of bases: soap, sodium hydroxide, um, the baking powder. These are the basic substances. What is the only substance that is neither acidic nor basic? Water. No? Water is neither acidic nor basic. That is why, in case you are having problems in your stomach or you're experiencing gastritis, then that means there is too much acid in your intestinal walls. So advisable there is you're going to drink a medication known as antacid. Example is Kremil S. Antacid means anti-acid. It will neutralize the acidity of your gastrointestinal tract. So the term for this medication is antacid. Okay. This is the structure of the cell membrane class. The cell membrane is a two-layer of phospholipid, makes it a phospholipid bilayer. Okay. I also mentioned it a while ago that the head is a phosphate and the tail is a lipid with the protein channels that is responsible for the cells transport. For animals, you have a cell membrane, but for plants, you only have a cell. You have both cell membrane and cell wall. It is one of the questions in your QE. I just can't recall what item is that, but there was a question in the QE wherein it asked for the difference between a plant and an animal cell, or I mean, what can you find in a plant cell that you cannot find in an animal cell? The answer there is cell wall or um, cell plastid. What is in the choice there? Cell wall or plastid. So again, the structure there is a bilayer. This is the um, a bigger size of the anatomical structure of your cell membrane. So we have the hydrophilic, which means water loving, and hydrophobic tail, which means water repelling. The consistency, or I mean the relevance of this being hydrophobic or hydrophilic, which means water in the inside stays in the inside and water in the outside stays in the outside, with the help of the hydrophobic tails, which means water cannot escape and goes out of the cell. However, in several occasions, they can pass through the semi-permeable membrane of your phospholipid. Let's start with um, there are three types of transport, or the three types of cell transport present in your module, and as well in all of the other cells. But in my presentation right now, it only focuses on the two, passive and active transport. But there is a discussion in the last part where we are going to talk about the bulk transport, which talks about phagocytosis and pinocytosis, also known as endocytosis and exocytosis. So for example, we have here passive transport first. The difference between passive transport and active transport is the presence of ATP. What is ATP again? The energy carrier of your cell. ATP energizes the active transport, but with the absence of ATP, you have the passive transport. Again, passive transport does not require any energy, which means it's just being passive. Just like students who are simply staying in the classroom, and then when you're going to ask something, they cannot answer, so we term them passive. Uh, so we have here passive transport. The first one there would be diffusion or simple diffusion. We also have facilitated diffusion, which uses the protein channels, the carrier and the channel proteins. And we also have osmosis. So we have the three types of passive transport: simple diffusion, facilitated diffusion, and osmosis. Let's talk about what is diffusion first. But the general picture of the three class is that all three follows the concept of the movement of molecules from high concentration to low concentration. Much like the same when you're going to spray a perfume, the high concentration, there's the molecules inside in the aerosol can. But when you're going to spray it, it will disperse in the low concentrations area. So for example, you're going to hold the spray here. Upon spraying for a couple of seconds, then you're going to smell the fragrance of the perfume. Because from the higher concentration, the molecules will be dispersed and goes to the lower concentration. And then it will eventually be evenly distributed if there is an enough concentration of the molecules that you are going to spray. But if you only spray a little bit, so only a portion of the area will be dispersed by the molecules of that said perfume. Okay. Let's talk about diffusion first, class. This is diffusion comes in two: facilitated diffusion and simple diffusion. So we have here facilitated diffusion gets to have the help of a carrier protein and a channel protein. What's the difference between a carrier protein and a channel protein? Channel protein is like a tube. Tubo rin na siya. No? Like structure on a channel protein could go as a simple tube, and then like this is the protein fragment. No? The molecules will just pass by in the channel. Thus the term channel proteins. But when we talk about carrier proteins, it's like there is a specific area that the molecules will be carried, and then it's like they will change position. It's like they're going to do like that. I forgot the term there that was I read. Uh, there's an area wherein these molecules will be carried to the inside of the cell or to the outside of the cell. But when you talk about channel proteins, they're just stationary as is. Molecules just pass through in the channel where the proteins are located. But carrier proteins have the tendency to, they have a specific receptor though. Let's draw a triangle. So, kina siya triangle sa makasod niya. This is a circular receptor. Circle na po yung makasod niya. These receptors are responsible for important molecules that the cell needs. In particular, the sodium and the potassium. But in the sodium-potassium pump, that's already under the active transport because it needs the help of energy since um, the transport of sodium or potassium does not follow the concentration gradient. By the way, concentration gradient, class, is the movement of molecules from high concentration to low concentration. That's concentration gradient. There's a difference between the concentration of molecules from one area to the other. Okay? But simple diffusion is simply the passing of molecules from the semi-permeable membrane of your cell wall or the cell plate or the plasma membrane. Examples of simple diffusion we have here. I think I mentioned a while ago one of them. Examples of simple diffusion we have aerosols and perfumes. Spray paint, if you notice. Aside from the paint itself that is being sprayed by the spray paint, it also contains scent that will be distributed all throughout the area once you're going to use the spray paint. Notice when we had our activities and then the senior high will get to use spray paints. No? If you pass the area where we spray the paint, there's that distinct smell that the spray paint kind of emits. No? That's the movement again of the high concentration inside the can to the low concentration outside in the free environment. No? Osmosis, on the other hand, is a specific diffusion of water molecules. Again, osmosis is a specific diffusion of water molecules. Water molecules passes through a selectively permeable membrane like the cell membrane. And these water molecules just simply freely float in that said membrane. Notice the structure class. The green ones are sugar molecules, and the blue ones are the water molecules. The selectively permeable membrane allows water molecules to pass through, but not sugar molecules. Why is that so? It is because of the minute structure of the molecule of the water that the cell membrane allows it to do so. Also, class, this also follows the concept of concentration gradient. No? Concentration gradient means water moves from the higher concentration to an area of lower concentration. Um, what happens when you're going to eat salty foods? Benjamin, notice what do you feel when you tend to eat salty foods? Ben,
My mouth dries up there.
your mouth dries up, which means you need a lot of water, right? Yeah,
Okay.
thank you, Ben. The tendency there is we crave for water because salt in itself captures water molecules or attracts water molecules. That is where we get to have the idea of high concentration to low concentration. The concentration there is the concentration of salt molecules or NaCl. Again, salt in its nature attracts water. So the difference concentration or the concentration difference there goes with salt molecules in the inside of the cell and in the outside of the cell. There comes three solutions, or there comes three the term there in your book. In chemistry, a solution can become hypertonic, can be also become hypotonic, or it could be isotonic, depending on the amount of water present in that said cell. Since we're talking about the cell right now, so we are going to focus it in a cell. So what is a hypertonic solution then? Hypertonic solution means that the concentration is higher in the outside than the inside of the cell. Allow me to draw a cell class. If this is your cell, and then the the black ones are salt molecules. Salt is NaCl. And then how many molecules of salt are in the outside? 5. Assuming that the molecules of salt in the inside is just 3. So which has now the greater concentration? The one in the outside, right? Therefore, the water molecules from the cytosol will escape the cytoplasm or will escape the cell membrane and goes out of the cell. Ergo, what happens to your cell? It will shrink, it will shrivel. It will para siyang naughan, ika nga. This is the condition known as hypertonic solution. Huh? water diffuses out of the cell because of the high concentration of salt particles or salt molecules in the outside of the cell than in the inside of the cell. And that is the concentration gradient there. There's high concentration in the outside rather than the inside. The term in your book, it's in your module, it's um, there was no term there in your book. The term there, class, is cytolysis. I'll try to double check if my term is right. I think it was not found in your module, but allow me to check for a while the correct term there. This one. The term is plasmolysis. Plasmolysis. Plasmolysis is the medical term which means cell shrinking. No? A good example of a cell that shrinks under the idea of plasmolysis is a sickle cell or a sickly cell. No? I think we have a picture later for a sickle cell. So that is hypertonic class. Hypertonic again is the diffusion of water molecules in the outside of the cell. What about the other one? Hypotonic solution. Hypotonic solution means there is no concentration of the external environment and there's a high concentration of salt particles in the inside of your cell. So if we are going to draw it again, this is your cell, water molecules, these are salt molecules. The salt particles in the outside is lesser than the salt particles in the inside, or let's put it this way, the salt particles in the inside is more than the outside, so water will now diffuse to the inside of the cell. Ergo, your cell will not explode, but your cell will expand. Your cell will swell. And eventually, if this will not be corrected, your cell cannot contain the pressure in the inside, then it will swell and explode. But that is in a worst case scenario. The term there in water molecules is more in the inside rather than in the outside is called cytolysis. Kanina ang term is plasmolysis. Karon the term is cytolysis. That's the medical term for cell swelling. But in layman's term, that's the term that we usually use is cell swelling, not cytolysis. But the medical term there, perhaps it might come out in an exam. It is cytolysis. However, class, if there is an equal number of solute in the outside and in the inside, then we call it isotonic solution. There is an equal concentration gradient of the interstitial fluid and in the cytosol or the cytoplasmic fluid. So the normal cell bulkness is just being achieved. What is the shape of the normal cell is also the shape of a cell under isotonic solution. So balik ta ha. Hypertonic, the cell will shrink. Hypotonic, the cell will swell, manambok. Isotonic, the same size of the cell. Okay, this is an illustration of a hypertonic solution class. So from the red, which is like the flag of Japan, it shrinks. That's hypertonic. Hypotonic, on the other hand, is like from a normal size to a bigger size balloon. Huh? Small size normal shape cell to an enlarged swelling cell. Huh? And then for isotonic, no change at all. The concentration in the inside is the same as the concentration on the outside. The next picture, class, understand the green ones. These are the salt solute. These are the solute present in the extracellular fluid or the interstitial cell and in the intracellular fluid or in the cytoplasm. For isotonic solution, you have 2 for 6 molecules of salt in the inside and 6 molecules of salt in the outside. That's for the isotonic. Notice the hypertonic, the one on the right. There are a lot of salt particles present in the outside. So it's like inviting all the water molecules of the cytoplasm to go out of the cell membrane. Thus, the cell will shrink. But in hypotonic, there's less concentration in the outside rather than in the inside. So your cytoplasm now will attract the water in the outside of your environment. The, the treatment or the system of the 11 systems that we have in our human anatomy, the lymphatic system will correct the hypertonic solution. Okay? The lymphatic system will return the leak fluids back to the cell. But if this is not to be corrected by active transport wherein the salt in the outside is the same with the salt in the inside, then hypertonic solution will be a recurring situation for that said particular cell. With respect to your blood cell, this is a structure of a hypertonic, an isotonic, and a hypotonic. Notice the hypertonic is like a sickly cell. No? Pag walay ka ng water molecules nga nasa sod. This is the normal isotonic, the one in the middle. It's like the normal shape of the cell, is normal shape of the red blood cell. But in a hypotonic, notice some molecules there burst or explodes because of too much pressure in the inside of the cell that the cytoplasm or rather the cell membrane cannot anymore contain what the pressure of water um, expresses in the inside. So that is the three types of passive transport: simple diffusion, facilitated diffusion, and osmosis. The difference between simple diffusion again and facilitated diffusion is the presence of protein channels for facilitated diffusion that facilitates the diffusion. Okay, but in simple diffusion, it's just the movement of molecules freely from the semi-permeable membrane of your cell. But in osmosis, it's on a specific molecule, which is water. A diffusion of water in a semi-permeable membrane. That is now termed osmosis. For active transport class, we have here active transport uses the energy from the ATP. And I think in the active transport in this presentation, the bulk transport was included. Again, the bulk transport was included, which is the exocytosis and the endocytosis. Okay, but the idea of active transport or the difference between an active transport and a passive transport is going to focus on the concentration gradient class. Balik ta sa passive transport. When you talk about passive transport, notice the underlined words there. The molecules or uh, the molecules move from high to low. But in active transport class, the molecules of water moves from low concentration to high concentration. So normally, dili gini siya may tabo because the disperse of molecules is usually following the concentration gradient. Ari gini siya magsugod sa high concentration padung sa low concentration. And eventually filling up the area with the concentration of molecules um, achieving the isotonic solution. But for active transport, it is now considering the reverse of the concentration gradient. Is the movement of molecules from low concentration to high concentration. Thus, it needs an energy. Energy is required such that these molecules will be pumped against the concentration gradient. Okay, okay. Natural law says that molecules move from low to high to low. But since active transport goes against natural law, then it needs an energy which is from the ATP. Where will we get ATP again? Sa atong mga gipangkaon. In particular, carbohydrates or glucose. So we have here the presence of a protein pump. The protein pump uh, will be the one responsible for moving the concentration of the molecules from low to high concentration. An example of an active transport class is, again, the sodium-potassium pump. Normally, ang sodium-potassium pump class will not follow equality of molecules in the inside and in the outside. For as long as they need to have the number of molecules from the inside and then the outside because of um, what is the common denominator of sodium and potassium pump? Positive, negative charges. Where do you think these two basically helps in our human anatomy? The concentration of blood volume and the activity of your blood vessels. No? Where the sodium and the potassium is important. Because if there's less potassium, then there is less activity of your blood vessels. Um, Less activity means less pumping of the blood to the different parts of the body. Example, if a tennis player loses an energy, what helps the tennis player to regain the energy is from the food that he will eat, either banana or um, sweetened lemon. Uh, I don't know if you are familiar with that, but this is also exhibited in some animes. But there is a reason behind it. Again, chemistry works its miracles there. As 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 banana is rich in potassium. Yun. So this is the analogy of a passive and an active transport class. For for passive transport, you just have to go downhill. Without the energy, you just follow the rules of gravity. But with active transport, it's like going an uphill battle, wherein you need the energy to climb the steps of that said hill. But in a passive transport, you just have to follow the rule in gravity. And that rule in gravity is what we can consider as the concentration gradient. Okay? Balik tayo dito, class. Balik tayo dito sa active transport. Active transport, in this um, ano tawag dito? Active transport in this frame includes the bulk transport because bulk transport falls under active transport since it also needs the energy. No? For without the energy, the bulk transport will not happen. But in the module that I circulated, the bulk transport now is separated from the active transport. The only example of an active transport that you can see in most books is the so-called sodium potassium pump. Okay? Assignment. Search for a video in YouTube. There are a lot of them in YouTube class. So that you are going to understand what is sodium potassium pump, please see a video in YouTube. I failed to download one. I was about to show it right now, but if we can still have time, probably I can share screen a YouTube video uh, to you guys. So what is bulk transport class? Bulk, as it is termed, is a transport of molecules in large quantities. Okay, in large quantities. The difference is that when you talk about exocytosis, this is the transport of molecules from the inside of the cell and it goes outside of the cell. Again, exocytosis from the term exo, exit. The molecules will go out of the cell. An example of which is a protein that is generated or made by the endoplasmic reticulum, and then it will not be used inside the cell. Then that protein will be carried by the vesicle, and this vesicle will merge to the cell membrane, and that protein will go out of the cell. That is exocytosis. But when you talk about endocytosis, it's the polar opposite of exocytosis. Endocytosis means from the molecules in the outside of the cell membrane engulfs it and brings it to the inside upon the vesicle transport. Dalon siya sa inside, murag kanon siya ba? An example of an endocytosis is a cell eating of some animals, rather animal cell, as a method of their digestion. They're going to phagocyte a certain molecule. It will engulf it and then bring it in the inside of their cell so that this molecule will be digested by their lysosome. So as with our cells class, we also have lysosomes. Thus, we are also going to follow the idea of endocytosis. Endocytosis are differentiated into two. For example, kanang mura siya og, if we're going to draw the it's like a tree diagram class. If this is the bulk transport is divided into two. We have the exocytosis and we have the endocytosis. Under endocytosis, it's still subdivided as pinocytosis and phagocytosis. Pinocytosis means cell eating, cell drinking. But in your frame right now, you still have the term cell eating and cell eating or engulfing. But the terminologies differs from the fact that pinocytosis means cell drinking and phagocytosis means cell eating. How is the difference between cell drinking and cell eating being done? Notice the definition of pinocytosis in the frame class. Pinocytosis means engulfing of smaller materials, while phagocytosis is engulfing of larger materials. Allow me to draw a cell. If this is your cell, and here lies bigger bulk of molecules, once these will get inside of your cell, the process here is called phagocytosis, as lysosomes will merge to the vesicles containing that cell, and this lysosome will destroy that molecule. Either that would be a bacteria or that would be a decaying organelle. But if the concentration is just minute, then together with the cell cytoplasm, it will engulf that minute organelles, and this is what we call a cell drinking or pinocytosis. That's the difference between phago and pino. I think I have a video here about phago and phagocytosis and pinocytosis. Wait, I have another example here for phago and pinocytosis. This is an example of the difference between pinocytosis class and a phagocytosis. Okay, for a while. Let's start with active transport. So this is the active transport class, the sodium and the potassium pump. ATP, the ATP powers it's like the one that gives energy to the cell transport. So without the ATP, this sodium potassium pump will not happen. Na? Para na matug na siya, di na siya matrabaho. So this is the active transport. It requires ATP, moves materials from low concentration to high concentration, and it goes against concentration gradient. Much like climbing a hill, it goes against gravity. So this is the sodium potassium pump. Here. Um, when this ATP will join with this um, protein channel, this protein channel, as joined by the ATP, it will energize. It will give off these sodium ions to the outside of the cell, and then potassium ions goes inside. Once this energy will be liberated by ADP, or I mean, if ADP leaves the molecule, the energy that is liberated will be, the energy from the phosphate, inorganic phosphate, will be liberated. Thus, it will open again. So, mo-close na siya. So, normally, ang structure niya, inani, pag generate sa ATP through the act of ATP giving the energy to this membrane, it will ignite an action by opening the outer wall and then closing the inner wall. And then these molecules, which is inside in the protein channel, will go out of the cell, and potassium will replace the inside of this protein channel. Again, the better view of this one is an animated presentation using YouTube videos. Here we have the difference between phagocytosis and pinocytosis. But notice, class, we have here another, we have a receptor-mediated endocytosis. Receptor-mediated endocytosis is acted by a receptor, much like the same with an immunity that you're going to get upon giving by a vaccine. For example, you'll get a dose of pneumonia vaccine. Your cells, in particular the B cells or the lymphocytes, will 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 create a receptor which is going to receive the next virus that will attack your body, which is the pneumonia virus. Because they already know how to defeat that virus because of the vaccine. Take note, vaccines are weakened viruses. They are weakened so that your white blood cells, in particular the lymphocytes, will defeat it easily and develop a certain immunity. That's what we call the third line of defense, our immunity response. So that is going to be explained by the receptor-mediated endocytosis. There's a specific receptor of a specific molecule that will get inside of your cell. But talking about phago and pinocytosis, this is the phagocytosis. We have a lysosome or term phagosome that will engulf a food vacuole and eventually disintegrate what is inside of this food vacuole. But in a smaller molecule, we term here as the pinocytosis because the idea of it being called cell drinking is there's also a, a fluid from the outside together with the molecule as it drinks the fluid in the inside. This fluid from the outside glass will just merge with with the cytoplasm as this will rupture eventually. If this will rupture, kung mahuman niya, disintegrate ang molecule class. I think there's a short animation to this one. This is the cell drinking. Notice, it's like engulfing the molecules together with the fluid from the outside. But when you talk about cell eating or phagocytosis, it goes with uh, phagocytic vacuole, and then the lysosome will disintegrate it, and then eventually the large tablet shaped, bacillus shaped molecule will be disintegrated by the lysosome. So that is phagocytosis. This is again an exocytosis from the inside. It will release the molecules to the outside. Thus, we have the exocytosis. And then we have the difference between a passive and an active transport from this structure. And the only difference between these two is the presence of ATP. Okay. And then the movement of molecules from low concentration to high concentration. And then for passive, the movement from high going to the low concentration. This is the difference of the two, passive and active transport. Okay, this is the last. Okay, so other things that we did not discuss, I think we discussed everything from your module, except for the three types of membrane proteins under the active transport. We have the uniport. Uniport means you only have to transport one molecule in one direction. Symport transports two different molecules in the same direction. But if you have antiport, transports different molecules in opposite directions. Pwede siyang magdungan. No? Pwede magdungan. Uniport, one molecule at a time. In and out, in and out. No? Symport, two molecules at a time. In and out, in and out. But antiport, pwede magdungan siya. It could be one molecule going inside, another molecule going outside. Still, the three ports, uniport, symport, and uniport, symport, and antiport, they're all energized by ATP. Question? So please try to answer all the activities found in the module. We have choices in activity 1, you have choices. In activity 2, you also have choices. Or rather, in activity 2 and 3, you have choices. In activities 1 and 4, that goes with um, isotonic, hypertonic, and hypotonic solution. Okay? So work this by tomorrow, and I hope that by Wednesday, you're ready with your answers to this one. By the way, I would like to commend Raisa's effort in always turning on the camera. At least I have still a student during a discussion. I'm not just so sure wherein what's the problem with the others. Huh? During exams, you are all turned on, but during discussions, you're turned off. So probably I'll do the same in the discussion. No? Next week, next time, I will turn off my camera. And then, probably I'll just share to you the share screen. So tayong lahat walang turn on ng camera. If anyhow, thank you for your attendance for today class. That would be all.